Praise God. And so now Pastor is coming, and yeah, we're coming to the mic.
Practice your quicken. Yeah, I'm excited about Jesus. He's wonderful. He is our joy and our joy. Amen. I'm excited that Teresa is here today. Hi, Teresa. And where is her son? Her son is not here. Okay. Oh, you're thinking about Lisa Sanguinetti? Okay, well, I'm going to announce that next. Okay. Don't be sorry. It's okay to be human. I am. Let's quicken. Teresa, we're so glad to see you today. Thank you for coming and worshiping the Lord with us. It means so much. And the Lord is speaking to me concerning you, and that is He's the healer of relationships. And the Lord is doing a healing work and a bonding work relationally for you. I want you to call me or come back and testify when this manifestation takes place. But He's doing it now. He's doing it now. Does that minister to you, Teresa? Yes? All right. Hi, Lisa. Introduce us to your son. What's his name? Julian. Julian, we're so glad you're here. God bless you. Well, it's Mother's Day, and the purpose of the pulpit is to lift up Jesus. So, we have 4 people that will lift up Christ concerning their individual lives. We have Jessie Hammock, representing mother and grandmother. Not only that position, but she's going to talk about an arena of faith, an arena that she used her faith in, and something humorous. Amen. Then we have Gwen McClendon, called and appointed by God as a mother in Zion, nurturing God's children. She's going to talk to us about her faith relative to any situation that she needed victory in, and something humorous. And then we have, thirdly, Julia Anderson. She's the youngest mother, I believe, in our congregation, with a husband and 2 beautiful children. And we give God the praise. And she's going to talk about the same topic as a wife and a mother, how she used her faith, how she used it in a situation that she needed victory against anxiety, fear, depression, whatever, and something humorous. And the assignment for all 4 was the same, but it's going to be different, isn't it? Because it's going to be birthed out of their testimony. And our last guest is Crystal Walton, and she's speaking to us as a now divorced mother, and she's going to talk about her faith. She's going to talk about how it was used in a time of anxiety, fear, depression, discouragement, whatever, to get victory, and there will be a spot of humor. And they have 6 minutes each.
Praise the Lord. I get to go first as I talk about my role as a grandmother, as a mother, a grandmother, and a great relationship to my fears, my faith, and something funny. In Deuteronomy 4:2, it talks about how the Israelites were told to keep the commandments of the Lord thy God. And verse 9 says, and teach them to your children and your grandchildren. A smile come across my face when I talk about my grands, as they say in the South, my grands. When they were younger, I just could not wait for school to end so I could go to Texas to enjoy some time with my grands. I had so much fun watching them grow up. I can't tell you how many times I played Simon Says and all the places we go when I read them bedtime stories at night, and the things we do when we would go on a safari in the vacant lot next door, and the poems they learned and the poems they recited. Oh, what a grand time it was. I know I spoiled them, but isn't that my role as a grandparent? Yeah. Grandparents, don't we spoil our grandchildren? Yeah. Amen. I later realized that I had a greater calling. And as a secondary parent, I had a responsibility to help them discover what their purpose is in life. A responsibility to help them discover the work that God has called them to do. The work that they will do that will glorify God, which is our purpose as well. And to teach them how to keep the commandments of the Lord. And I realized of all the things we did, all the stories we read, all the places we traveled, only what's done for Christ will last. I must admit, along the way, I had some fears. What kind of people will they grow up to be? What kind of choices will they make? What friends will they choose? Will they say no to drugs and alcohol? Will they say no to sin, period? And as they've been trained and taught in the way that they should go, my fear was, will they depart from their training? Those were my fears. And then I realized my fears needed to be replaced with faith. Faith that they're not only my grands, but they're his grands as well. And that he will protect them. He will fight their battles. If they apply the word that they know, the word that they've learned, he will protect them. And I realized I had to replace those fears and to cast all of my cares on him as he cares for them, as he protects them. And I realized that I need to let it go and let God. And you know, something happened, a story about one of my grands. He was 4 years old at the time, and his mother placed him in a school in the neighborhood, and he was quiet. His speech was not well developed, and he was kind of ignored in the classroom. Well, that didn't bode well with my daughter-in-law. So she said, I'm going to the school and let the teacher know. I said, please take me with you. So after school, as my daughter-in-law was communicating her concerns to the teacher, I took my little grandson to the front of the classroom, and I held him in my arms, and I talked to him, and I showed her how special he was to us. And I said, I raised my hand and I said, he has learned a poem. Can he recite that poem to you? And the teacher said, yes. And he was clear enough for her to understand. He said, my name is Aaron. I am 4 years old, and I am very handsome. my mom's name. He named his mom, his dad, and his sister. And he said, my teacher's name is Miss Buck. And I love my teacher. Tears came to her eyes. Isn't it funny how love transforms?
Yes.
That's the funny part that's not complicated. But that's what God did. After that day, you better believe my grandson was treated special. She knew that he was special to us, but then she saw him in a different light. And the relationship between my daughter-in-law and the teacher was transformed by love. Amen.
Praise the Lord.
Beautiful.
Amen.
I'm a quickie for Pastor. It's mandatory. Y'all don't know. I had to learn how to cluck. I ain't gonna cluck today. I'm putting on this pair of glasses because I'm standing for a manifestation of healing in my eyes. Okay? First of all, I want to thank this congregation for trusting me with their children, the most prized gift, because the children are a gift from the Lord. I know that it has been, as Pastor said, it's an assignment of God. I know that for the parents for camp, I just want to let you know that with the strength of God and the stamina of God, I will be at camp. I'm the oldest camper up there, and that's my assignment, and I will be there this year. Thank you.
Yes.
I know without a doubt that I'm called to youth and dealing with young people. And I know that as God helps me with the aspects of mothering, that the Word of God is testified true in my life, that the barren will keep house more than people that with biological children. So that's why I thank you for every parent here that has allowed me to speak into their lives, plus into their lives, train them up. And I told the children sometimes, I said, you know, I'm so democratic because I treat all of y'all equally the same sometimes. I thank God for the things that He told me about in mothering. And there have been wounds along the way because sometimes, you know, the enemy is very resilient. He's very much on his job. And people would say things to me about, well, you don't have no children. And that was meant to wound me. And so I asked the Lord, how could I respond without being hateful? Okay? And He said, just simply, He said, He gave me a sense of what to say and what I would respond to them as saying. I said, you know what, I'm just following in the steps of the Lord, and He didn't have no babies. And so the things that I'm mandated in and walking to toward children is what Jesus said. So what you gonna say to Him?
All right. Okay.
See, so the things we have an opportunity to turn something back and reverse it, because when people came against Jesus, He never dealt with it, owned it. He just said, you say. He didn't even deal with it, but these are the things that the Lord gave me, and I know that are in me.
Amen.
Availability. When you get tired, I'm not. Your children know this. Auntie Brenda don't get tired. I stand here proudly to say I'm 72 years young, and I'm not tired yet. I'm not tired. It's all about getting involved in everything they do, and sometimes they think it's nosy, but I just want you to know I'm going to be involved. I also know that when our children go anywhere and wherever we go and whatever, I'm a mother to the camp, and they know it. Now, you may have another mother, but she ain't up here. I also know when I come someplace in a place where there's children that they will be protected, because see, my motto about looking and watching children, if you can't see them, you ain't watching them. A child that is left to himself is they said, an embarrassment and brings pain to their parents. Teaching. We need to teach the Word. Every child in this congregation used to have a Bible with their name on it. It may be old school, but I'm going to put a big O on it because people call me old school again. I said, I'm the old to the old school to the second. You know, I said, the reason we're here, young people, is because we are old school. We're holding it down, waiting for you to come up. Doesn't insult me. But I know wisdom. You have a whole lot of knowledge and a whole lot of youth, but you don't have no wisdom and no mind. You ain't going to do nothing but go crazy, drive somebody else crazy. Amen. Training. And training doesn't mean asking their permission. He wants us to parent them. I'm not a biological parent, but I know that I'm not going to ask a 2-year-old what you think. I'm going to say to them, I know that I'm going to say to them, I want you to do what I tell you to do the first time. That discipline deals with modeling that the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. Respectful admonishment and acknowledgement, and let your no be no, and let you practice it in the mirror, because you're going to need a whole lot of no's. And if you need a partner to help you to keep your hands up, I'm the partner, because when you get tired, I'm going to be here. And the children know this, and their mamas know this. And when the children come back, thank the Lord, they have been raised in this church in godly admonition of the Lord, because the Bible says, great shall be the peace of your child, and they shall be taught of the Lord. That when they come here and I check their child, and the child look at their mom and say, don't say nothing to me, because you're going to check me next. I'm just saying in terms of the fact that God will send people into your lives to walk alongside of you with your children if you let them. And that's not being invasive or overbearing with you, but you can't see everything and you ain't everywhere.
Right.
So he will send people like myself. I'm not saying I'm making a platform myself. It's a godly assignment, and I don't take it lightly. And he said to nurture in an environment of always verbal support. They ain't gonna always do right, but you just have to speak the things that are not until the things that they will come to. And know that we have to model with integrity. Don't be saying one thing and you living a life in front of them somewhere else.
Okay.
Okay? So this is the things that God has given me, and the fear that the enemy has tried to, because he's on his job. But I know that I am the sheep of God, that he's my shepherd, and his voice is the only one I'm supposed to mind to. Because his voice said, you're getting older, and you ain't got no children. You're going to be by yourself. That's what he says. Y'all know that he talks, right? Do you talk back? I talk back and tell him, you know what? You're a liar and the truth ain't in you. And 2 seconds, I'm just going to tell you about this little joke. This little boy said, Mommy, can you want a screwdriver? She said, get the mommy screwdriver. And he brought her a butter knife.
I've been married to Robert for almost 8 years. I have a 4-year-old daughter, back then Kayla, and I have almost 2 months today, Julian. Yes. So fear for me has popped up, I can say a lot, and not so much in marriage. Me and Rob, we're good. We're really good. Fear came with having the children. That is something special, I would say. It's an experience, to say the least. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So that's why I have scripture that helps me with mothering. So I would say Psalms 46, 1-2. God is our refuge and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. So we will not fear, even if earthquakes come and the mountains crumble into the sea. So when I have a 2-month-old that's crying, and I have a 4-year-old who's having a tantrum, those are my mountains crumbling, and my sea is roaring. And so I have to remember that God has not given me fear. And Deuteronomy 31, 7-8, it says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord is the one who goes before you. So I always have to keep in mind that he doesn't give us more than that we can bear. So for me to have, if I ever feel overwhelmed with mothering, that's where most of my overwhelming goes from. With mothering or any other aspects in life, I know that he went before me. He gave me the gift of my children. He gave me the gift of marriage. He gave me the gift of my husband. So I have to remember that he already went before me and made these things good. He's already cleared them up. So if anything happens, or if I'm feeling overwhelmed or anxiety or depression or any of those feelings that do come up, I know that God already has taken it and has already moved it out of my way so that I can be the best that I can be. So that's also where faith comes in. So if I believe in God, then I have to know that he already has taken care of everything. It makes no sense to say you believe in someone who is almighty, who gives you your salvation, who is your savior, and you're trying to do everything yourself. It doesn't make any sense. So Isaiah 25:9 says, "This is the Lord in whom we trusted. Let us rejoice in the salvation he brings." John 5:24, "I assure you, those who listen to my message and believe in God who sent me have eternal life." And then for funny, I would say that funny has really helped in my marriage, because I believe like laughing together, it's like a friendship, but it's also like, that's me and Rob just sit and we'll just laugh all the time. So to me, that's like a really good part of our marriage. So I encourage anyone who's married or think about marriage, if you can't laugh together. So Nehemiah 8:10 says, "Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is our strength."
Forgive me for bringing my phone. I know I was told I have exactly 6 minutes, so this will keep me from going off on my rabbit trails. I love a good rabbit trail. All right, so I just want to share about my journey as a mom. It started long before I was married, long before I ever had my child. It started in my own childhood, and I just had a really bad childhood. It was a sad time. My mother died when I was 6. My father remarried. I had a stepmom who just was not really loving and nurturing to me. But God put people in my life who let me know that the dysfunction we were living in was not normal, and I could aspire to and expect to have more. And I knew that I wanted to be a mother, and that I was going to give to my child something different. And so my whole life was looking for those role models, looking to break those cycles that said, this is just not going to be. This cannot be for my child. So one of the lessons is you don't have to be a mother to mother. Mother is a noun and a verb. And so I was mothered by many, and I have mothered long before I had children. And don't be afraid to invest in children, because you can be their life changer. And don't be afraid to let others invest in your children. So the community's not always going to be perfect, but the community is your blessing. So I started praying specifically about children in 1996. And I started speaking over their lives, and I was just listening to the Lord. And so I graduated college. I started a career as a special education teacher. I got married. I went to grad school. I said, I'm going to do this thing exactly right. And then we started talking about having a baby. We said, okay, we're ready. We're the most stable we've ever been. I'm going to stay home and be a stay-at-home mom, and I'm going to take care of this baby until he goes to school. And another lesson there is that our good plans, our well-intended plans, are not always God's plan. And purpose is not always, if purpose is the driving force of your life, it's not always going to look like the way you think it does. Or it's not going to look like what you want, because your priority in purpose is not always going to be what you think. So we made these plans, and I had my son right to the month that I said I wanted him. I said, Lord, I want a June baby, so that if I do have to go back to work, I can at least have the summer with him. So Devin Walton came on June 13th, 2007, 8 pounds, 6 ounces, 21 inches long, after 23 and a half hours of labor. Yes, Lord. Tell me you won't bring me through something. Yes! So after 8 months of being at home with him, I had to go back to work. And I said, wait a minute, Lord, we've been talking about this since 1996. What has happened in the last almost 12 years? And all he said to me was, you take care of my children, and I will take care of yours. And his word has not returned void at all. He has always taken care of them. So one thing that I was concerned about with parenting is autism. I worried about autism because I know it's more prevalent in boys, and I'd seen what it does to children, and autism wasn't on the agenda. I said, this child is going to be the center of my world. I'm going to shape him, and I'm going to see him go do things. I want to find out what he's interested in. I want him in classes and camps, and I want him just doing whatever it is he's supposed to do. I just want to walk him through that process, and this child will be great. And everything I did was about this boy. And he just moved fast. He was very advanced. And so he hit about 2.5 years old, and everything just stopped. I watched all his little daycare friends catch up to him. I watched them pass him. And then the daycare lady had a picture of him, and he had that unfocused autism look. And I was like, I don't like that picture.
Right.
I was like, this picture is everything I'm afraid of. So here we are at the beginning of 2010. I lost my grandmother. I lost 2 very good friends. And I lost 2 young cousins in the same week, and that was all by May. And I started grad school again. I asked for a divorce. I moved out 2 weeks later. I started a new job. And my house got broken into. That was by August. And by December, Devin had an autism diagnosis. And I just saw all the dreams, like, what does this look like? How do I do this? And I thought, again, what about all those prayers I prayed? And then I said, wait a minute, I don't accept this. I do not accept this. I said, you said you were going to take care of my child. So I don't anticipate anything except a godly, exceptional, awe-inspiring, storytelling outcome for him. I accept no less. So because I've been praying for this boy, and I've been praying that he would be strong and do exploits, that he would be a man of God, that he would be a leader for his generation, that he would be a mouthpiece for you, that his name will be great in this earth. So I don't accept that Satan doesn't get the last say about my child. I don't have the last say about my child. The Lord has the last say about Devin Walker's life. And so the enemy does not get to say that my child will be less than or limited by any diagnosis. So I said, well, so what does say the Lord about Devin? So while I'm going through this whole process, I'm grieving, I'm dealing with all of this, I'm going to school, I'm being a teacher, his speech still wasn't what it was supposed to be. And I would have those moments where I would say, maybe this is all it's going to be. And then I'd get faith again. No, we ain't doing this. He's going to be all right. Well, fast forward 5 years, a couple more years. Devin was 5. I'm wrapping it up. I started noticing when he was about 5, all of a sudden I started just taking a lot of showers. Just in the shower all the time. And I was like, what's my problem? Why am I always in the shower? I'm going to do a hormonal thing. I'm like 40-ish. What's going on here? And I realized Devin was talking a lot. And I was running into the shower to get away from him. Where he would not follow me. And every time he's like, Mom, guess what? Mom, and hey, Mom, did you know about that? Typical of an autistic child.
That's right.
You would not know it to talk to him, to see him. It takes you some time to kind of figure some things out with him, but God has been faithful, and his hand has been on Devin, and my faith is encouraged just watching him grow.
That's right.